Now, before we start, we really want you to join in with this discussion, so please do head to us either on Facebook, head to us on the forums. You can also join us on Twitter and on Reddit as well. After the stream's over, we'll be putting up a news post with all the information you're going to hear and uploading this video to YouTube. And tomorrow at 8 o'clock at the same time, we'll be doing an AMA on Reddit. So, as a product manager, my job is to ensure the long-term success of Old School, which means we have to keep it financially stable. So we can have things such as, more team members, so we can make bigger and better updates for you. I also need to ensure the active player base remains stable, so there's always somebody to play with when you're in game. So let's get down to the crux of this thing, what you want to hear about free-to-play. Now, if we introduce membership bonds, we can introduce a full and permanent free-to-play service for you. Now, membership bonds are exactly what they sound like. They are bonds that can only be spent on membership. So things such as Solomon Store, Rune Coins, Squeal of Fortune, Treasure Hunter, they're not going to happen, or any other microtransaction, unless of course you guys vote for them, but that's not likely to happen. So, introducing free-to-play and bonds, we'll only do that if that passes a poll. What you guys think is really important to us. So the only way we're going to do it is if you vote it in through a poll. And also the thing that you need to be clear of is the only way we can do this is if we do membership bonds and free-to-play at the same time. And I shall now go and tell you why. Now, since the 27th of May, we've been doing lots of free-to-play trials, and we've had the analyst team going through all the information and telling us what is the best thing to do. So any second now, there should be a graph appear magically on the screen. So this graph, it's a membership projection for Old School if we do nothing. What we've done is we've looked at the basic performance of Old School from when it came out, and we've used RS3's more information, we've more long-term information from RS3 to sort of project what it will do over the next 5 years. If we keep things going as they are now, we can see there'll be a slight decline in membership over the next 5 years. And that is what would happen if we do nothing. Now let's introduce free-to-play without bonds and see how that looks. Now what we've done is we have gone through the free-to-play trials that we've done and worked out the uplift based on what happened there. And as you can see, we get an initial peak straight away of everybody who comes in and says, look at all that stuff. We want free to play, we want to play it, and we get a huge increase in members from there. Now what also happens with free to play is we see players lapse out of membership. And that's an ongoing continuous effect. And throughout the next 5 years, you can see that gets worse and worse and worse, and we end up losing more members than if we were to do nothing. Now if we were to put bonds on top of that, what you can see there is you can see, again, the same initial growth that we get from free-to-play, because bonds isn't about getting new players, it is about retaining players. And because it's much easier to become a member when you have the bonds in game, you can see that we don't lose as many players. So in 5 years' time, we have significantly more members than we have before. And that's where we are with that. So, bonds are already in Old School. 25% of you use bonds already. You take the cash that you get in RS3, you use some of the clan swap chat people, and then you move it into Old School. Like I said, 25% of you are doing that already. The impact of bonds on RS3 has been great. We've seen a reduction in bots. Because there's a reduction in bots, less gold's going into the RS3 community, which is fantastic for the economy. And also, wherever it says on the next thing on my notes that I need to read, we also see a reduction in real world trading and all the bad stuff that happens with that. And we expect exactly the same thing to happen in Old School as well. So we expect the swapping clan chats to disappear, which means the real world trading generated from them will stop, and also all the spam you see in Lumbridge and all the other areas will stop as well. We'll see less gold farming bots, which again means less gold going into game. And because less gold's going into game, the economy will be stronger, your items will be worth more. It'll be fantastic. So bots appeared a lot when we did the free-to-play trial. We saw a big increase in bots coming in. Membership bonds aren't going to be the only answer to it. So there's lots of things we can do with bots if they come into game. What we saw was an increase in mining bots. We saw an increase in combat bots. We saw an increase in woodcutting bots and in spamming bots as well. And there's some things we can do to combat those. For example, we can restrict free-to-play accounts from trading resources until they reach a certain amount of quest points, for example. That way any bot's got to do a whole load of quests before it can trade anything off. We can also if you're a free-to-play player, we can also stop you getting XP if your combat level is twice the thing you're killing. That way bots won't be able to grind on low-level things and get combat up that way. So we can defeat combat bots, or even combat bots that way. And also with the spamming bots, we want to start looking at a way of automatically detecting people who are spamming without using the in-game auto typer, and then we can stick a short-term mute on them, and then that stops them from spamming, and we can deal with them that way. So that's basically what we've got. Now, like I said, we're all over the place. We've got people on Facebook, we've got people on the forums, Twitter and Reddit. So if you've got questions, please do shout them out and we will try and answer as many as you can. So the first one I think we've just got come in is from someone called Simone74. And he says, what's the price of bonds going to be? There we go, see, isn't that magic? They'll be the same price that RS3s will be, which is £3.50 from the beginning of March, I think it is. So they will be the same price. Don't forget, of course, this is all dependent on you voting that this is what you want to do. Next question is from, I can't quite read that, JS Tone 1282. It says, does that mean the old school team will get bigger? Again, I was talking to Mod Pips, who's the Vice President of RuneScape, about this exact point earlier this week. And if there is a reason to make old school bigger, then we will. And if our membership figures go up, that's a pretty good reason. And that's what we think will happen with free-to-play and membership bonds. If it's successful, we will have more people. We can have web developers, another development team. I mean, can you imagine another 2 developers like Ash and Dan, and more QA people to help John out as well? I mean, that would be amazing. But that all depends on how successful we'll be. The success will bring that. Another question from Yana Bryan. Will bonds be tradable? They'll work in exactly the same way that RS3s work, which I believe, he says, try and remember how they work, is you buy the bond, you then pay 10% of the value of that bond to turn it into a tradable thing that you can give to someone else. And I've got to have a drink of water. Right, next question is from Anonymous. I assume it's not the Anonymous. Is this old school's only chance at free to play? The only way we can do free to play is if we do it with membership bonds. If you don't feel ready to do that now, that's fine. We can poll it in the future. But the only way we're going to see free to play is if we do it with membership bonds at the same time. So Superrooney62, he asks, will old school bonds work the same as RS3 bonds? Yes, they will. I think I answered that a minute ago, but they will work exactly the same way. Is that AJ Stir, I think, is the next question. If bonds fail, do we keep the 2-week trial? Currently, as things plan, we will probably keep the trials. They were working really quite well for us at the moment. And as you can see from the graph that was up earlier, the projections showed, it was quite healthy, a sort of 10-15% decline over 5 years. I'd much rather it go up personally, but so we'll probably keep those. What's next? Waterman52, how quickly can we implement this? If it passes a poll, because obviously it's got to pass a poll first, we can implement it in a matter of weeks. I mean, effectively, if we wanted to do free to play, we could turn it on tomorrow. It's that easy to do that side. The bonds will be a bit more difficult, but we can get it in as quickly as you guys will want us to, quite frankly. Jay Rodder, he asks, how many days of membership do we get for a bond? It'll be 14 days, which is the same as RS3's bonds. And Waterman, oh no, we've had that one already. Got to wait for the question people to catch up. They're too slow, Ronan. Here we go. What would the in-game price of bonds be decided by us? That's another question from Anonymous. Yes, basically, if you were to buy a membership bond, you make it tradable by paying that sort of 10% cost. You then go and charge whatever price you want for it. If you want to charge for 1 billion GP for it, you can. I mean, nobody might buy it, but it's entirely up to you. I mean, we have the free market that you guys can decide on those things. So we've got more questions coming. I think we have. How exactly would we go about buying these bonds? Well, that's still one of the things to be decided, but it will probably, I mean, I'm not entirely sure how RS3 do theirs, but I would imagine you go through the website and you buy it from there. I would expect there to be an old school specific bond where you would go and you would buy, I'll choose an old school specific bond, and then it would be delivered to your account, which could be through an NPC. I would think probably the best way of doing it, but that's all stuff that's sort of the technical side of stuff that we can overcome to make it work. Right, Kappa 3000 says, can we get a system to swap gold between games instead? And that was one of the things we thought about as well. Was this the right way round of doing it? The problem with moving gold is it impacts on both economies. If we suddenly have a whole load of gold leave RS3 and come to Old School, then we will suddenly see far too much gold in the game, and Old School will suddenly, or RS3 will suddenly have not enough, and vice versa. So we thought, in order to protect both games, that's not something we can really do, because the economies are really quite important. We have to make sure, you love the name Kappa 3000, don't you? So we have to make sure that those things stay proper and well looked after. Any more questions coming in? Here we go, there's a good one here by Tanoob SH, I think, Tanoob5H. Would you be able to fish lobsters in free-to-play? For those that don't know, we restricted some of the stuff on free-to-play. For example, you can't fish lobsters, you can't do other things. Use is the other one, isn't it? You can't chop use. If we have, if you're unable to trade items off an account until you get quest points, it's quite possible we could put those in. We could open up those again, and you could have access to all of what free-to-play was and what you remember it from back in 2007. More questions. Heyjan99 says, can we get free-to-play without bonds? I'm afraid not. If you remember the graph I showed you earlier, if we were to do free-to-play without bonds in 5 years' time, we'd have less players than we have if we were not to do any sort of free-to-play. Free-to-play with membership bonds is by far the best option as far as active players and the financial stability of the game, which is what we are here to do. I mean, to go back to the very beginning again, the success of Old School is about making sure the game is financially stable, as well as making sure it is got enough active players in it, and we think this is the best to achieve both of those. I mean, the way sort of I look at it, and I sort of look it back, is what sort of game did I want to be do I want to be playing in 5 years' time? And I want to be playing a big active game with lots of players, lots of members, which keeps my bosses happy because it makes money. So you know, it's a win-win for everybody. More questions? What we got? Subenchin says, will Old School ever get more staff without free-to-play? It's possible. The increase in staff is down to the success of Old School. If Old School can be a big success without free-to-play, then we will get more support. There's no denying that. But we think the best option is free-to-play, and you guys agree free-to-play is a great option for getting Old School where it should be, and so, you know, proper, you know, even more players. And yeah, and it's. But the only way we can do free-to-play is with membership bonds. Who else have we got? We've got Atchan88. Would bonds be traded through the GE? Yep, I would expect that to be the best place to trade them, in all honesty, so I would expect them to go through the GE. Yes, if you don't want them to, they don't have to. We could poll that as a separate thing if you wanted to. Either way, entirely up to you. IZEGI says, I'm confused. Would this mean I could pay for, it's a scrolling question, membership with 07 gold? Effectively, yes. I mean, whatever price it settles in, if it settles down at 3 million GP per bond, you take 3 million GP, you then buy gold, you buy your membership bond, and then you will get 14 days of membership. Like I said earlier, it's happening already. 25% of you utilise bonds, so we know it's going on. SHE says, will the experience limit for members too? Will the experience limit be for members too? No, that would just be free to play. One of the things we're sort of looking at as well is what we can do. If you've ever been a free to play, a member, then the free to play limits won't affect you, even if you become a free to play player in the future. So if you've been a member once, we can just lift all those things off, and you can just play as you always have done. Mike Southpaw. Sounds Rocky was a Southpaw. Did you know that? There we go. When will we be able to vote for this? It all depends. We need to have this discussion with you, see what you guys think, see how you guys feel about it. Like I said, there is going to be a news post when we finish here as well, so read through the news post. Take some time to think about it. We don't expect you to have all the questions now, so that's why we're doing an AMA tomorrow on Reddit, so come and join us at 8 o'clock tomorrow, and we will do an AMA there. You can ask more questions there. So when we wait for it, it's very much dependent on you. If you guys want it to happen straight away, we will do it as soon as possible. If you want some time to think about it, come up with some more questions, then we will give you that time. FE99SH says, who will be allowed to vote in the poll? It will be the same as all other polls. It will be members of 280 total level at least. We can up that if you want to for this one. It's entirely up to you, again, how we want to do this. If we decide that, if you guys sort of suggest that maybe we should only do it for people with 500 total level, maybe we can do that. Again, talk to us, let us know what you think. All these bonds serve a purpose at RuneFest. There are no plans to do that. They're membership bonds, so we're planning only to do membership with them. But again, if you guys want to use them for other things, such as RuneFest, which was a great success from last year, we had so many people buy the entire RuneFest package with in-game gold that I'd like to do it. But again, it's up to you whether you want to do it that way or not. Again, that's another discussion we can have. The Red Hawk, I think that name is. Will you be able to make free-to-play Iron Men? Yes, I think we can do that. I think we looked at it initially whether we were going to do it or not, and we decided not. But we can certainly do free-to-play Iron Men if you have, if you want to. If we do free-to-play with membership bonds, that's fine. The Red Hawk, or it might be a different name. Hang on, there we go. Right. Can Iron Men buy bonds? What do they do in RS3? I don't think they can in RS3, can they? You can in RS3, okay. James has told me you can. So if an Iron Man buys a bond and they trade it for membership, that I think is absolutely fine. If an Iron Man wants to buy a bond to sell it on the GE, then they wouldn't be allowed to do that. So yeah, so you can buy a bond, spend it on membership, but you can't buy bonds and sell it on the GE. There we go. Comic Ward says, can we separate the membership of Old School and RS3 with bonds? No, we're still going to do the one service. So if you buy an Old School membership bond, you will still be getting membership in RS3 as well. The only reason it's an Old School membership bond is because it's redeemed in Old School. Now, at the moment, we can only do them combined. I mean, it's not really sort of my decision to separate the membership, because either way you'll probably be paying exactly the same, whichever way around you do it. But so you might as well have both games instead of one. So I think we probably won't be splitting them anytime soon. Salad with 2 A's, 3 A's in fact. Will free-to-play receive any updates or stay the same? Again, that depends on what we think the right thing to do is. Free-to-play, as you guys have said, is a great way of getting players to play the game. And try it out, fall in love with it. If we can think of better ways to do that, then we can do it. I mean, one of the things that I was thinking about, many years ago, was sort of free-to-play event where you have every 2 weeks or so you have a weekend where a load of monsters appear, and you've all got to go there as free-to-play players, try and kill them, and there's a sort of rare chance one of them will drop a bond, and you think that's quite a cool thing to do. But that's something we could sort of discuss or think about, perhaps at some point in the future. But what happens to free-to-play is, again, it's ultimately up to you. If you guys want some free-to-play updates, I don't think that would be a bad thing, as long as we make sure we're doing them for the right reasons. So, who's that? Jejam58, I think that is. Would the membership from Old School Bond give you RS3 membership? Yes, it would. Yeah, I think I covered that a few seconds ago. That would give you the same membership package as you have now, effectively 14 days of RuneScape membership, which gives you access to Old School and RS3. Free-to-play does happen. Will free-to-play players be allowed to vote in polls? And that's from Uvu. Not at the moment. No, there are no plans to allow free-to-play players to vote in the polls. If you want them to, again, yes, we can do. I think perhaps we could look at maybe doing some free-to-play specific polls. Would free-to-play players like this update in the free-to-play server? Maybe we could do that. That is certainly one way around that we can do it. It boils down to what you guys want to happen. Q2 says, can you explain the difference from a bond and a membership bond? A membership bond can only be spent on membership. It can't be spent on rune coins, it can't be spent in Solomon's shop, it can't be spent in all the other bits I've got on my bit of paper, hang on. It can't be spent in Squeal of Fortune, can't be spent in Treasure Hunter. It can only be redeemed for membership. If you guys want it to be used in other things, we can do that, but it's going to have to pass a poll, and I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. So effectively, these bonds will only be used for membership. I mean, when we were sort of watching the discussion about this over the last sort of 7 days or 5-6 days since we announced we were going to have this discussion with you, a lot of you were worried about, you know, if bonds come in, membership bonds come in, it will mean that microtransactions won't be far behind. That is not the case at all. We know you guys don't want them. We're giving you the option here saying bonds can be a good thing for the game. We're trying to sort of show you why, having this stream and talking to you again tomorrow and getting all the information up that we will be. So again, it will all boil down to what you guys want. Right, more questions. What have we got? Jemson, I think, is next. How many free-to-play worlds we'll get? It depends on the interest. It's going to be quite interesting to do it, but I would imagine we will start with what we've got, and I would fully expect that within the next sort of 2 hours after launch, we'll probably add a whole load more. We'll have a whole load set on standby. We don't want to put them out there if there's no need for them, but I'm sure we'll be harassing Mod Philip to sit next to us and for us to tell him when he needs to put more up. So that will happen almost on the fly, I think, but there'll be enough worlds for you guys out there. That's not a problem. Water Spirit, will you be able to get name changes with old school bonds? Again, it's something we can do. I think I'd want to poll that separately. I'd want to make sure that you knew and understood what was different. I think the membership bond is very much a very clear statement of saying you will only ever get membership with bonds, because that's a good thing to have. Name changes, they're nice, but does it muddy that water? Does it sort of dirty that line a bit of only for membership or membership and something else? So again, we can do it if you guys want it, but that's up to you entirely. Is that Killer Mike? That's a cheerful name. Can we guarantee we would never get microtransactions without a poll? Yes. Yes, that is the one thing we're absolutely sure of. We know you don't want microtransactions. And it's not going to happen without a poll. In fact, you're not even going to get bonds without a poll, or membership bonds without a poll, because this is going to be polled. You're going to have your say. Free to play with membership bonds, that you'll have your say whether you want that or not. So you guys are still in control. Mustachio, will players who buy bonds receive any cosmetic rewards? Nope, nothing else. Bonds will only be for membership, and that is it. Nothing else. No way. I can't stress it enough that membership bonds won't be used for anything else, unless of course you guys say you want it to, and yeah, I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. Dr. Zach, will any account be able to play in free to play, or only new accounts how it currently is? Any accounts. It'll be normal free to play as you experienced it back in 2007, as RS3 currently has. Any account, anybody can make an account, play on it straight away, come back to it if you haven't got membership and play on it as well. So it will work in that way exactly. It's a question from Boaty. Boaty. That was the highlight of RuneFest for me, has been able to say Boaty on Golden Gnomes. How will Iron Men be able to purchase a bond without real life currency? We could probably just make it so that the only thing they can use on the Grand Exchange will be bonds. So if they try and buy anything else, they'll get a message saying you're an Iron Man, you can't do that. But if you want a bond, that's fine. Yeah, so that would probably be how we'd do it. We could probably even do it. I mean, we'd need Ash to work out the technical parts of it, but I would imagine we could probably do it via normal count-to-count trading as well, but only via bonds. And if you try to sell a bond as an Iron Man, you'll get a message saying you can't sell this bond. You have to keep it and transfer it into membership. Who's that? Producto something or other, 94, I think. Producto 94, that's an awful name. I don't know how they came up with that name. If free-to-play perm and bonds come, will you offer a free membership trial for 2 weeks? Not at the moment. Last time we opened I'm assuming you're meaning, yeah, so free membership trial for 2 weeks. When we did that over Halloween, not last year, but the year before, we had nobody become a member in those sort of 4 days we did it. You know, it dropped from 1,000 people becoming members, or 3,000 people becoming members, down to about 200. So that's suicide. We were not going to do that. G Stinky says, can you please re-explain exactly how bonds work? I don't know quite what you mean, but I'll do my best. So somebody goes to the website and they say, I want to buy a bond. They then take their credit card or whatever payment method they have, they type it in and they buy a bond for £3.50. They then go to, for example, in Old School, probably an NPC. They'll go talk to the NPC and they'll say, oh, I've got a bond for you, here you go, and they'll give them a bond. And they say, right, I can now give myself membership with this bond, which they probably don't want to do because there's better ways to get membership. Or they want to trade it, so they will trade, they will pay a gold price for it, which is 10% of the normal price on the Grand Exchange, and turn it into a tradable bond. They'll then put it on the Grand Exchange. Somebody will come along, they will pay, I don't know, 3.5 million GP for it, and the person picks up a 3.5 million GP, you get the bond, and then put it on your, become a membership for 14 days. And that's effectively how it works. All right, next question. Will there be a cap of how many you can buy? Now, I think, is there a cap on RS3? I'm sure not, I don't think. Yeah, it's sort of limited, it is limited by bank space because they don't stack, don't they? But then you do have a pouch to put some in. So there will be some sort of hard cap, I guess. How that works, what it will be, don't know. Is that Carling? Will there be, oh no, that's the same question. We're waiting for any more questions. Oh, I have a question. Anonymous, again, he asks a lot of questions, Anonymous does. Will there be an advertising campaign for free-to-play? Yes, yes, we're working on the stuff for it. Well, we're working on lots of stuff right now. If this goes through, then you guys won't escape it. In fact, it's about June last year, we worked on a rebranding exercise, and hopefully that'll all go live at the same time. So lots of new pretty things going on, and press things and all sorts of happening at that time. Will free-to-play worlds get anything new like Bounty Hunter worlds? That's a question by Farmer Franz. Yeah, I think we even spoke about doing a free-to-play Bounty Hunter world. I mean, the rewards for it will be quite limited, I think. But yeah, no, I think we could do that, and I think we could do all sorts of bits and bobs for free-to-play specific worlds. I've got some plans for some sort of hardcore PvP worlds where you can only level up in a hardcore PvP world, which would be quite amazing. We could do a free-to-play one of those as well. That'd be cool. Right, what else we got? Someone else has asked, can you explain the process of going from free-to-play to members with a bond in detail? I'm not entirely sure what aspects. The actual process itself is I think you right-click on the bond, you click redeem, and it redeems it as a member, and suddenly you've got 14 days membership, log out, log into a member's world, and the job's done. I think that's pretty much how it works. So that is pretty straightforward and simple. Alan asks, will there be free-to-play high scores? Probably not immediately, because we need some web systems time to do that. But I would imagine we'll probably look at adding some, certainly. Someone's typing something. Right. Logical. Will free-to-play definitely be permanent if this happens? Yes. If this happens, it'll be a permanent, full free-to-play as you experienced it back in 2007, as it is in RS3 now. It will be exactly what you think it is. It is a permanent, full free-to-play service. Yes. And one of the sort of the better things about that as well is, even if we get this bot stuff so that it does work effectively in game, we unlock Hughes, we unlock lobsters, then any free-to-play player can easily make the money needed to buy a bond off the Grand Exchange, become members themselves, and then from then on they will just continue being members. So that's, it's quite a fantastic thing from that respect. It is really quite good. I mean, another thing as well, I suppose, to remind you is that that high-level players, what we've found is as players get richer and richer through the life cycle of a game, the more they use bonds and membership bonds to buy their membership with, so the actual less money they play. So all the high-level players will effectively not have to spend any more money on getting membership, because they will be able to buy these bonds without too much trouble at all. Michael has a question. Does this mean I can no longer buy membership at a store now? You can buy membership at a store now if you want to. You can go buy a store, you can do it through the website, or you can just keep playing the game, earn yourself a bit of gold and buy a membership bond, and then you don't have to spend any money anywhere. It's great. Yeah, more questions coming through. We've got a question from Al something, AJ Ates. Is there a date when the poll will be, when it will be polled and released? There isn't, no. So we want to have this discussion with you, find out what you guys are thinking, how you guys are feeling. We've got another AMA tomorrow, so come join us on Reddit at 8 PM and I'll be there to talk to you more about it then. So if you've got questions, please do bring them. I can imagine that for some of you this is a bit of a shock, not quite what you're expecting. So you might need some time to have a proper think about it, but we will be here at any time to talk to you. You can get on to talk to us through Twitter. You could talk to us on the forums. Again, like I said, AMA Reddit tomorrow. When we've finished here, there'll be a news post going up with all the information in that I've given you today. So please do have a good read through it, have a think about what it all says and what it means for the game and for you playing the game. That also, this will be on YouTube as well, so please do watch this. There we go. Right, I think a couple more questions. Let's have a look. Can you put a bond pouch to save space? Yes, if you guys want us to do that, we can do that. That's from Boaty Swamp. Is it Boaty Swamp or is it Skill Spec Swamp? That's a big question. It's probably more important than this. And there's somebody down the bottom called Kido, I think. How will bonds be promoted in Old School? I'm not entirely sure how they'll be promoted. Don't know, that's going to be an interesting thing to work out, because I can see making free-to-play players aware of bonds, what they do and how useful they are is going to be quite a good thing. So we'll have to figure out that. One thing we want to keep away from though is pop-ups when you log in, because you've told us you're not keen on those, so we don't want to do that. We don't want to sort of splash people with buy bonds now. We could do email campaigns, for example. Somebody who's been playing, we can even have a look and see who's got enough gold in their accounts, and then send them an email saying, "Did you know you can do this?" There's several things we can do, so we will market. That's a horrible word, I'm sorry, but we'll market to them and get that happening. I mean, the key thing again, I suppose one thing to sort of be aware of is 25% of you using bonds already. You're already getting the gold through RS3 and then moving it through the clan chats that exist to do this. So that's already happening. So it's not like we're exclusively not affected by this. Bringing it to Old School will mean that Old School benefits from it, and we get more and more players over the next 5 years. Will free-to-play worlds get corrupt dragon weapons again? That's up to you. There has been the players, you guys, the community have said you don't want these extra weapons, but if you do, we'll poll them. You vote for them, we'll put them in. That's fine, but that's up for you to decide. That'll be a normal poll for that one. That was from John's, by the way. I think we're about out of questions. So let me just sort of reiterate what we've gone through so far. If we introduce membership bonds, we can introduce a full and permanent free-to-play service. That's the bottom line. By membership bonds, we mean bonds that can only be used on membership. which means things such as Solomon's Store, Runecoin, Squeal of Fortune, Treasure Hunter are not going to go in game, and no other microtransactions are going to go in game unless you guys vote for it. And we know you guys don't want it, so I don't think that's likely to happen. We'll only introduce free-to-play with membership bonds if you guys vote for it in a poll. So you guys are in control. That's really important to us. You know, we believe the success of Old School is super. You know, is the fact that you are in control and you feel you're in control. When we've come to you with this permanent free-to-play possibility, but we can only make it work if we introduce membership bonds. So that's we want you guys to say yes, that's a good thing to do. Well, no, it's not a good thing to do. That is up to you. The only way we can do free to play is with introducing membership bonds at the same time. So if you've missed this, you can watch it on YouTube when we're finished. There's a news post going up in a few minutes, and there's an AMA tomorrow at 8 o'clock on Reddit. So come join us then, bring your questions there, and I'll answer everything I can. And hopefully we will see a full permanent free-to-play version of Old School in the future. Thank you very much.